Hey everybody, what's up? Today we are talking about the battle of Belle Fourche versus Spearfish. Which one's going to win? Which one would be the best fit for your family? Now, this is going to be a very brief overview like, hey, Felina, I'm moving to the area next week and I need to know which town to look at. So, we're going to dive deep into each community later on in a future video, but this is a very brief synopsis of both so you can choose which one would be the right fit for your family. As you all know, I am a real estate agent. I was born and raised right here in Belle Fourche, South Dakota. I have worked in Spearfish, South Dakota, so I am super familiar with both communities and I love both of them for very different reasons. So, all I'm going to do today is give you kind of a brief overview of each community and let you decide which one's going to be the right community for you. First off, we're going to be talking about the cost of living because there's a pretty significant difference between the two communities. Spearfish's cost of living is right around 96, where the national average is right around 100. Belle Fourche is coming in 10 points lower at 86. So as you can see, there's a pretty significant difference in the cost of living for just a small 10-mile commute. That's why a lot of people choose to live in Belle Fourche and commute over to Spearfish. Although I will tell you, there are some people who live in Spearfish and choose to commute to Belle Fourche, whether it's for their job, whether it's for the school district, because both communities have a great school system. They're just very different. So again, that's another thing that you're going to have to figure out which one is the best for you. So talking about the school districts, again, they're both very small, tight-knit schools. They're both very good communities to take your kids to school. I will say, and this is, of course, my personal opinion and the opinion of a lot of people that I have heard from people around here who have either moved their kids from one school district to the other or just have their opinion, okay? So, Spearfish is very sports oriented. So, if your child is really into a certain sport, Spearfish might be a better fit for you. If you're more of the, say, agricultural community or your kids just really aren't into sports, Belle Fourche has got a great family tight knit community for their school district. So, again, it's really just what's going to be better for you as your family comes to the area. We're going to go back into one more boring topic, and that's going to be housing. Like I said, Spearfish's or Belle Fourche's cost of living is a little bit more affordable, and so is their housing. So the Belle Fourche median home price, and again, this is a very brief overview. We're not pulling in land, we're not pulling in single family living, we're not pulling in townhouses, we're just pulling in the very basic overview. The average house price of someone coming to Belle Fourche, South Dakota is going to pay $263,000. Again, very basic overview there. And this changes so often that you may just want to call me directly if you're thinking, and we'll go ahead and double check the numbers at the time that you're considering the move to this area. Spearfish's house prices are coming in right at around $384,000. So as you can see, again, there's a pretty significant difference, and basically that's where the big difference is in the cost of living. As far as grocery stores go, I haven't noticed a huge difference. Obviously, we have two small local grocery stores here in Belle Fourche that are going to cost a little bit more than if you were to take the drive to Spearfish and go do your grocery shopping at Walmart. So again, that's kind of just a toss-up that you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons. Where do you like to do your grocery shopping? What exactly do you like to buy? Spearfish has the cutest little health food store on Main Street, and that recently just got purchased by a friend of mine, and she is doing some really great things with it. So if you're looking more for like a health food store, Spearfish is definitely going to be where you need to go. Belle Fourche doesn't have anything like that at this time. We are a much smaller community. We're very, again, agricultural rancher community over here. So we don't have a lot of the amenities that Spearfish does have. So that kind of segues into our next topic here, and that's amenities. And so a lot of people will move to this area thinking, oh, I'll just go to Whole Foods or I'll go to Costco. That's not going to happen. That is not our community here. We are a pretty small state. As a matter of fact, I used to joke because we used to live in Jacksonville, Florida when my husband was attending college. And a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, it's such a small community out here. I'm like, your community is more than the entire state I came from. Yeah. Let me say that again. A lot of communities and city populations are more than the entire state of South Dakota. So if you're considering moving here, you might want to understand that you're not going to have access to a lot of those amenities, whether it's an international airport, whether it's a Whole Foods or a Costco. A lot of those things don't even exist in this state. Sioux Falls, which is give or take a 6-hour drive, don't quote me. I may or may not drive the speed limit all the time, but it's about a 6-hour drive. And that's where you can probably find bigger things. I don't even think that they have a Trader Joe's right now, though. Just being honest, I don't usually go over there. I order a lot of my stuff online, which works out really well for us. We love things like Thrive Market, and obviously Amazon. So unfortunately, we just don't have a lot of those shopping places like a lot of the bigger cities. So if that's something that you're craving, you may want to just reconsider South Dakota, or you can do what a lot of people around here do, and they plan either a monthly or a quarterly trip to Denver, Colorado, and they get a lot of their shopping done there. It's only about a 6-hour drive. So it's kind of a fun little close vacation for the family, and you guys can knock out all of your Trader Joe's and Costco needs down there. Okay, let's talk neighborhoods. Again, this is a huge distinction between the two areas that I think people often overlook. So when you go to Spearfish, South Dakota, you're going to find a lot of those neighborhoods, a lot of those communities. Whereas in Belle Fourche, you're not going to find a lot of that. We do have a couple small pockets of communities, but nothing like what you're going to experience over in Spearfish. They have tons of different pockets of areas where it's great to raise a family. You know that the kids are going to be riding their bike. Honestly, Belle Fourche is just one of those communities that's small enough that everybody just rides their bike almost everywhere. So we don't live too far from the park. So our kids will just ride their bike to the park. They're not going to be riding around a certain community with a certain playground or anything like that. So it's all just town oriented, whereas Spearfish has a lot more of those very specific communities where the kids don't even have to leave the community. They can just have that like tight knit relationship with their neighbors. So if that's for you, Spearfish might be a better fit in that category. Next, we're talking about access. So they're only 10 miles apart, so it's not a huge difference, but I will say that Spearfish, South Dakota is right off of I-90, the interstate. So if you're commuting, whether it's to Rapid City or maybe you have to go to Gillette, Spearfish is obviously going to be a little bit closer because it's right there on the interstate, whereas Belle Fourche is 10 miles off of the interstate, so you're going to have to drive to the interstate to hop on it. But if you're going to somewhere like North Dakota, we're a little bit closer. So it's really, again, one of those things, you just have to weigh the pros and cons. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I was born and raised in Belle Fourche and I live here now because we have land, but I love both communities. Again, they're just for very different reasons. And so that's why you need to listen to videos kind of like this so that you can make that educated decision for your family, because everybody's situation is different. Okay, now we're talking about tourism. So this is one thing that I noticed that was a huge shock to me. I went on to Airbnb.com to rent a home here in Belle Fourche. There wasn't any. So around the rally, there are a couple of rentals that you'll see pop up, and people will rent out their homes or their RVs to rally goers. But overall, there's not a lot of Airbnb properties. So if you're looking to buy an Airbnb property, that's something that you would really want to double check. Belle Fourche has none, but I will say it's not as much of a destination area as Spearfish. Last time I checked, I think Spearfish had somewhere around 600 or 700 Airbnbs. So that's a very significant difference that just honestly kind of shocked me as a real estate agent. I was like, wow, nobody is doing Airbnb here in Belle Fourche. So that might be a good opportunity for someone who's considering getting an investment property. There are a lot of events that happen in the Black Hills, obviously. So a lot of people want to come and stay really close to the Black Hills. Again, we're only 10 miles away. So it's not that somebody couldn't get a rental in Spearfish and then come and do some of the activities when they're happening in Belle Fourche. One of the main activities I would love to touch base on is the 4th of July. You're not going to find a place that does it better than Belle Fourche. Okay. As much as I love Spearfish and all the things that they have to do year round, the 4th of July definitely belongs to Belle Fourche, South Dakota. We have a carnival that comes to town. We have a huge rodeo that comes to town and draws a ton of people in. We also have one of the best fireworks shows you're going to find in the Black Hills. Sometimes Mount Rushmore does a fireworks show, and it's pretty spectacular as well because I love that they do it right up behind the presidents. But we're not getting into politics right now. It hasn't happened lately, and I don't know when or if it will happen again. But I will tell you, Belle Fourche is still doing their fireworks shows no matter what. So if fireworks and the 4th of July is something for you, then Belle Fourche might be a really good option. As far as things to do overall, we have a couple big differences there as well. Belle Fourche has what's called our rec center. It's one of the only indoor pools in the area, and it's the only one that I'm aware of that's really open to the public all the time. So we have a lot of families come over from Spearfish, South Dakota to swim in our indoor pool because, you guessed it, South Dakota has some cold weather. So a lot of people come over here to swim inside with their kids. Now, Spearfish, on the other hand, has a really cool outdoor water park that we get to use a few months out of the year. So you'll often find that our family visits Spearfish in the summer to go to the cool outdoor water park, but the rest of the year when it's too chilly to be in the water, you'll often find us in the rec center. Belle Fourche also has Ormond Dam, which a lot of people go to do recreational skiing in the summertime. They fish out there all the time. There's ice fishing in the wintertime, so there's a lot of fun things to do out there. There's campground out there, a playground. There's a lot of things that families can take advantage of in the summertime. Now, Spearfish has a beautiful city park. It's nestled right along the Spearfish Creek. There's a huge playground there. They often do festivals in the park. The festival in, I believe it's June or July, is one of my favorites to go to. So that's just a beautiful, beautiful park. And then right next to that is the DC Booth Fish Hatchery. So we love to spend a ton of time there too as a family. They have where you can buy some fish food. It's a few dollars a bag, and your kids can go feed the fish, throw it in there, and you'll just see the fish go crazy. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and put a video of one of our kids throwing some food in the water so that you can kind of see what we're talking about, because it's really a fun thing to do for the family. And again, it's totally free. The only thing that you pay is for the fish food, and then they do have a cool little gift shop there as well. Now, just outside of Spearfish, but I think it was also worth mentioning, is the Spearfish Canyon. So really, I don't know the exact distance. I should have looked it up before this video, but I didn't. Maybe I'll look it up and put it right down here for you. But just outside of Spearfish, you can drive up through the canyon, and there are 3 major waterfalls that you'll see up through Spearfish Canyon. There's also a ton of hiking up there, and it's a great day to spend with the family. We like to go up there even in the wintertime when it's a little bit chillier and look at the waterfalls when they're frozen, and then stop right up there in the canyon for some hot cocoa. It's really one thing that we love to do because it still gets hot in South Dakota. Believe it or not, I think a lot of people think that just because we have a fairly harsh winter that it never gets hot here, but it does. It really does. So we like to go hiking more in the spring and fall, and even sometimes in the winter time, as long as there's not a ton of snow. I take that back. I know my husband's going to watch this. He likes to go hiking in the snow. I like to stay under my blankie in the wintertime. So a little bit of a difference there. Depending on what kind of person you are, you might be out snowshoeing. You might be snuggled up in a blankie. All right. That pretty much rounds out some of the major differences between Belle Fourche and Spearfish. Again, we're only 10 to 12 miles away from each other, but we're very different communities. So I thought it was important to make this video so that you can weigh the pros and cons of each of the communities and find out which one's the right community for you. So if you're looking to relocate to the area, again, I am a real estate advisor in the area. I would love to dive more in detail of each of the communities so that we can find the right fit for you. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can call or text me anytime if you want to talk about the Black Hills or real estate in general. 605-759-0808. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.